Now, according to latest GDP report by the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's gross domestic product grew by 2.25% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2022, marking the slowest growth since the COVID-19 pandemic. For analysis now, let's talk to Gospel Obele, Chief Economist, Streetnomics Limited, joining us via Zoom. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me, lad. Good morning.
Yeah, so Gospel, I'm guessing this was kind of expected. What do you think contributed to this slow growth?
Yes, to a very large extent was expected because a series of events have played out the economy this year. We've also seen a downtime in terms of how energy prices has impacted on the cost of doing business. We've seen how inflation has hiked. We've also seen that there's been a loss in human capital productivity as well. And, you know, overall regional and global events are also playing out and making it much more difficult, you know, in terms of doing business and scaling economic potential for recovery, you know, especially inclusive recovery in context. So these are a critical block of narratives that have shaped the GDP performance. And however, I'm not really surprised at the performance because, I mean, in many other economies like the UK, they already slided into recession technically.
And we saw the oil sector recorded a 22.67% decline year-on-year in the third quarter, indicating a decrease of about 11.94 points, you know, relative to the corresponding year. But no surprises there.
Yeah, there are no surprises there. I mean, I'm surprised if anybody is really surprised at the way the oil sector has shrinked. Oil production also dropped, you know, to a very large extent the last quarter, 1.2 per barrels. And we've also seen in recent times that there's been some form of aggressive push and growth in the non-oil block, you know, and to a very large extent as well, Nigeria has not also done well in terms of transiting on that import-dependent oil sector-based economy. And that has not also impacted on our numbers, you know, on the positive end of things. So we're not surprised. And the oil sector has been shrinking for the last 5 years now. You look at GDP growth, you know, in terms of contribution to GDP. So it's expected to a very large extent. And until we get our home base right on that block, I do not think there'll be any form of increased potential to scale events or activities or however the sector we want to contribute going forward in the future.
All right, and on the other hand now, the non-oil sector, that grew by about 4.27% in real terms during this Q3 period. And the rate was lower, though, by about 1.18 points compared to the rate recorded, you know, in the same quarter. What are the drivers here of the non-oil sector?
Yes, the non-oil sector has been driven to a very large extent by high-level fast-paced economic activities. We want to talk about technology. We want to talk about information and communications and technology. We want to talk about the telecom sector. We want to talk about finance and insurance, and, you know, major sectors that are very heavy on the consumer needs and consumer spending. So these are heavy drivers for non-oil block, non-oil sector. And we've also seen that the cluster of entrepreneurial activities that block has been resilient, you know, and that has also built some form of shock absorber in quotes, you know, towards how the sector responds to economic activities. And not taking away the fact that all of the economic events have been impacted in terms of downtime for the sector. But the sector has proven to be resilient over that, again, because it's a sector that thrives heavily on the law of large numbers. So that actually validates reasons why the sector has still performed resiliently, give or take, within the last 1 year.
Right. So looking at this performance now, you know, comparing the oil sector to the non-oil sector, what do you think we should be doing going forward?
Yes, I mean, I'm not really surprised at the way it is right now because the Nigerian economy is largely diversified. You know, the big competition we have on the table is being able to diversify accordingly to ensure that these sectors are a lot more productive. Majority of the efforts to fund this sector has been largely done in spite of government or in spite of government policy. And the key here is enabling the key productivity drivers, you know, for the sector. A report by the State of Entrepreneurship report released by the Faith Foundation recently talked about the fact that 99% of businesses in Nigeria who are in the non-oil sector are optimistic about future outcomes or doing business in 2023. So the good times are here, but the policy language, the efforts, the investment, and all of that by the current fiscal and monetary bodies have been put to a very large extent, to the oil and gas sector. Yes, some policies have been activated in non-oil block, but there's a lot more that needs to be done in terms of activating it for access to market, for improved competitiveness and positioning, and also access to finance to ensure that a critical chunk of our SMEs can play in the regional space and play in the global space. We want to get to a point where we're not just producing cocoa, we want to be able to produce chocolates and ensure those chocolates are competitive in the UK, in Zurich, in South Africa, and people from all over the world are buying Nigerian chocolates because they love Nigerian chocolates, but the quality and the quantity or the value in which, the value it creates and all of that. So by the time you put all that into context, there's always some improved financial foreign exchange receipts and even brand reputational returns for the country. And I think the non-oil sector has what it takes to unlock that for us going forward. However, we need to unlock the productivity drivers and consistently also to add, in H1 2022, we also saw that the non-oil sector block contributed 1.1 trillion naira more in terms of revenue, compared to the oil sector. This is in spite of efforts by the government. All right, so there is a lot of potential here. The service sector holds about 2% right now of the Nigerian economy. Previously, it was 7%, but dropped 2%. That's to show that Nigerians are doing this for themselves in terms of facilitating self-reliance and pushed prosperity, as it were. So the conversation now is we need to unlock these different streams of productivity. I do not think we have data on the number of web developers we have in Nigeria, or the number of creative designers, or even the data on those who work freelance, in terms of working from Lagos and earning in dollars, working for companies abroad. Nigeria needs to do more around the service sector in terms of organizing that market and formalizing it enough for productivity. So we have a lot of low-hanging fruit on the table. It's just for us to unlock the potential, the will and the strategic capacity to unlock it.
Right, and we might as well tag, 2022, the year of, rate hikes. Globally we've seen, the US Fed raise rates, Bank of England, and back here too, we saw at the last meeting, the MPC also raised rates, but, by a slower, less aggressive, level at the last, meeting. How is all the rate hikes? How's it playing into all of this?
What's happening to a very large extent, especially also in the global space, is that the rate hike is reinforcing or strengthening financial markets. And we've seen to a very large extent that that's also happening at the expense of the real sector. And when you look at the GDP composition and how the GDP works, especially in Nigeria and many parts of the world, the economy is largely driven by the real sector. So when you talk about recession, you're talking about the fact that the real sector has suffered a loss from increased cost push impact on the local economy. So the rate hike may have served in terms of conventional instruments used to control or manage inflation. But the nature of inflation we currently deal with is non-monetary and largely requires, yes, interest rates as a necessary tool or instrument, but also some form of complementary tools to serve on the sufficient block, in sort of ensuring that inflation is being brought down and, there's a reduced cost of impact on businesses as well. So I do not think that interest rates have really yielded the result that's been desired, but however, it makes sense for a conventional push as an instrument to control it. A lot more needs to be done. That's my argument. A lot more needs to be done to drive down the cost impact on doing businesses. It's a lot more difficult for the average Nigerian to borrow. The cost of borrowing has gone up. Access to credit will become more difficult and more harder because with increased interest rates will also come increased internal controls. I will see a possible dollarization of the Nigerian economy due to the redesign and all of that. So the central bank is likely to come down hard on more internal controls, by the commercial banks. That's going to worsen the context of credits and how credits are being made available to the real sector. So in my own opinion, I think we need a much more complementary and collaborative tool approach, sort of like a tool mix, to help us unlock the potential of the non-oil sector vis-a-vis the context of inflation we are faced right now globally in the world today.
All right. Well, what are your expectations for the fourth quarter?
Yes, so for the fourth quarter, we expect a further decline to a very large extent. And that's because in recent times, we've seen how economic events have sort of like crunched heavily on the Nigerian economy. We've seen how pre-elections, and the economics of pre-elections have worsened, policy decision-making and just some form of reactive pressure on the economy. We're also seeing some form of panic engagement due to the redesign of the currency. And that's also further worse the exchange rate. Then more recently, we found out that there's been a flood crisis, which will likely lead to food prices and then circle back in terms of increased cost of living pressure on the average Nigerian. By the time you put all this into context, there's a likelihood that cost of doing business go high, and then human capital productivity would further worsen. All of these events will further slow down economic activity. And let's put into context that the GDP does not tell us about productivity. We only talk about economic activity. However, like I mentioned earlier, unlocking the right productivity drivers will help us move from just activity-based economy to a productivity-based economy. So we hope for the very best, but all of the times we're in has proven to us that the Nigerian economy is really in a dire state, and that needs some form of attention, some fixing, and some structural reform and policy targeting and policy engagements as it were.
Data shaping investor sentiment.
Sorry, I didn't get that, please.
How do you see the data, shaping investor sentiment?
Yeah, so far, it's not been looking good. We've seen how Fitch and Moody ratings have downgraded the Nigerian economy recently, and also in many cases, firefighting, policy positioning of the central bank, has not also helped. And the fact that Q1 is going to be largely around the elections, that's going to impact heavily on the outlook and in terms of uncertainty and all of that for investments and doing business. So I think that it's high time the fiscal side took the stage, to relax whatever is going on in terms of reassuring the market and then introducing policies that counter political correctness, to encourage a more positive outlook around investors' confidence and keep starting the economy back again, towards a much more inclusive, productive-driven growth, as it were. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Gospel Bele, Chief Economist, Streetnomics
so
Limited.
well.
Join us, Advisor. Thank you so much.